All right. Thanks, Megan. Hey, everyone. You might have noticed I tweaked the title slide a little bit to expand the focus from only data visualization to data communication in general. This is because there are a few techniques that enhance visual communication, like storytelling, that I touch on. First, let's start with a little about me, and then we can jump right in. So after I got my bachelor's degree, I worked as a chemist and microbiologist for about a decade, and then I got into informatics systems. So as a LIMS and CDS admin, I did that for about 5 years. Then went back to school for a master's in data science to pair some formal education with what I had already been doing in industry. And so now I'm a data science consultant. I specialize in data visualization, or data viz for short. I'm going to say that quite a bit throughout, and predictive analytics. Okay, so here's a brief roadmap where we'll go over the next 40 minutes or so. We'll start with why communicating about data is important. Then with a relevant example, I'll go into 5 best practices to improve how you communicate with data. And then finally, I'll summarize the 5 practices in one list at the end. So one of the first tasks for creating a webinar at Csols is to give Megan a list of who would be interested in what I'm going to say. In a lot of ways, this was the most difficult part in preparing for this talk, because who does data touch, right? It touches everyone today. So let's just give a few quick examples from the lab. So there are HPLC mobile apps now. There's no more waiting like I had to when I started on the bench. There's no more waiting till the morning to see if a run that you put on at the end of the day worked or not. Their late phase clinical trials generate much more data than ever. They average 3.6 million data points. That's 3 times where it was even a decade ago. So today we're going to focus on data generated in the lab. And so my team and I work with all types of informatics data from all kinds of different life science companies. I just got off a project connecting 2 benchtop instruments to LIMS. And now we're looking at how analytics can help the customer when they start acquiring data from those instruments. This is called Internet of Things, or IoT. So this is where a thing like a benchtop instrument constantly uploads to a database. Think of temperature controlled chambers like walk-in coolers or incubators. These are some of the primary things that are driving up so many data points and the need for all this cloud storage, especially in the lab. So today we'll concentrate on improvements associated with those who produce and report scientific data, especially out of a LIMS. But keep in mind throughout that these techniques can apply to almost any industry, finance, retail, marketing, HR, environment, energy, pharma, the list goes on. So why is communication about data important in life sciences? Well, number one, it's our job, right? Most of you listening generate, handle, and or communicate data for a living. But more importantly, even small amounts of data in life science are usually complex and difficult to communicate. And most importantly, if you don't communicate your data effectively, nobody will pay attention, right? You could discover the cure for cancer, but if you present a wall of uninteresting text or the wrong chart, it might go unnoticed for years. And finally, through data, we can gain predictive insights to save lots of money, time, and energy. So I'll apply 5 data communication best practices to a simple case study that we'll revisit this example throughout the presentation. We have here a small startup API manufacturing pharma site. We'll say our microbiologist, me, found a contamination failure in the washroom that shuts down production. Okay, I should point out at this point, this is a hypothetical example of things I've seen on different projects. It's not one place I've worked or anything. Then I'll show how an effective data viz could have prevented this. Having the right data viz in place and communicating it effectively can prevent millions and millions of dollars in loss of production time. And finally, I'll touch on different tools to automate this data viz creation process and begin to predict points of failure before they happen. So that eliminates, things like recalls and stuff, which are even more costly.